the group. And the thing about the review courses is Geshe Michael has made a rule. He's been very consistent. I mean, he made the rule in 1998 or 9, and he has stuck to it. And in fact, the last Phoenix teaching before the Casa Jardín one, he said he was encouraging people to do the 15 ACI courses, and he said, but then with the review courses, they have to be done live. You have to receive them from someone who received them from a live lineage teacher.
Okay.
And so, of course, we got them directly from Geshe Michael in '99, but there is now some thought being given about people in other countries and how difficult that's going to be for them to receive the review courses from a live teacher who holds the lineage. And of course, live means you've got the breath of the teacher coming onto you, that you're getting the loom, you're getting an essence from their heart. And so the fact that we've had as much interaction with you two as Michael and I have, that you know our normal, natural demeanor and affect, and that there's a lot of interaction usually between us. So when we were considering doing this course with you, all the while, Adam, you were getting more and more indispensable to the saving of the scriptures. And so I had emailed Geshe Michael and said we were thinking of doing Course 16 with you two by Skype, and if we had his blessing. And so, and I said, and if you're home and you need Adam to be doing something on a normal class night, we'll adjust because you're really worth it. So the only thing he responded was thanks. So he didn't directly say okay, but he didn't say nay either.
Let's just keep the debaters like.
Well, I mean, how do you pass Loom through a computer, you know? And so we owe you a bonk on the head when we see you, which passes in some cases. So then, you know, you can't get the classes either by video recording type of thing. You can take what he said last time in Phoenix, which was, I don't remember what month it was, before the Casa Jardín teaching, but he said you can take the 3 review courses, but it's only for your own study and review, not for credit. To get credit, it has to be from a live teacher. And but they're trying to consider the situations where people in other countries, there's no one around them. They have, the only way to get a live teacher is either pay to have them come for maybe 1 student, or they can't do it. And so To us, you two seemed like an exception because of the interaction we've had, and also he didn't say careful or anything, so you can ask him to boink you on the head about it next time. You know, just blessing for that. Okay, who's starting us out here?
I did it last week.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Right.
Sashi Puki Jukshin Fukshin Mira Blingshin Badi Sangye Shindu Kulan Jokum Shivan Sukushin Sangye Chura Saki Chakam Janshin Badi Daki Kumshichi Daki Chura Saki Chakam Janchi Badi Daki Kumshichi Naki Chini Yola Pinchini Sangye Chura Saki Chakam Janchi Badi Daki Kumshichi Daki Chini Yola Pinchini
Hi.
Okay, last class, I think with Michael, I think the point was brought up that nothing is not dependently originated. And I don't know if you realize it yet, but that's our hope. I mean, that is grace for us, that we can create the causes and conditions for where we're headed. And what's happening now is because of us, right? We're in ACI course 16, The Great Ideas of Buddhism. And part 1 is comprised of the ACI courses 1 through 5. So now we're on class 3, and classes 3 and 4 covered Buddhist refuge. So this class and the next one cover the entirety of ACI Course 2.
Wow.
The term, the perfection of wisdom, refers to the group of perfection of wisdom sutras, which focus on emptiness. Sutra always means something taught by Lord Buddha, either directly, as most of our information comes in classes directly, or it can be indirect. And the indirect example would be the Heart Sutra, when Lord Buddha appeared to go into meditation and he manipulated a couple people in his audience. So sutra can actually means short, teaching, but if Lord Buddha gave a lot of teaching, we still call it sutra. So,
Yeah.
the term prajnaparamita refers to wisdom gone to the other side, and that means the wisdom which makes you perfect. So that would only be true, of course, if you are able to internalize and thoroughly understand completely, and then believe this wisdom. Then you have a chance of it taking you to the other side. You could briefly describe the perfection of wisdom as the knowledge of a person of the greater way with which they perceive emptiness, and which is imbued with a wish for enlightenment, bodhicitta. The knowledge of a person of the greater way with which they perceive emptiness and which is imbued with the wish for enlightenment. So lucky for us, the perfection of wisdom here, referred to here, does not have to be direct. It could be intellectual. The greater way refers to the Mahayana way, and which is doing things for the benefit of other sentient beings. So the root text and author for these two classes, for the part that covers the perfection of wisdom, the text is Abhisamaya Alankara, Ornament of Realization. So the author is Jetsun Jampa, also known as Loving One, also known as who? Lord Buddha.
Lord Maitreya?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Lord Maitreya, the coming Buddha. My error. I wasn't reading. I was trying to look at you instead of read. Okay. The text was taught by Lord Maitreya to Arya Asanga. He lived when? Arya Asanga, about 50 AD. Asanga means not obstructed, or you could say unstoppable, like a knife through warm butter. Couldn't stop. It's so easy, unstoppable. And he took dictation from Lord Maitreya and then transcribed it into the text. So the Tibetan commentary to the root text was written by Kedrup Khenpe Darje. He lived 1493 to 1568. And the title of his commentary is Analysis of the Perfection of Wisdom. So Kedrup Khenpe Darje wrote many of the textbooks for Saramane Monastery. So we need to talk about refuge for a minute. To take refuge is to look to someone outside of yourself in hopes that that someone or that object will be of assistance to you. So normal refuge involves fear, and then also an object which helps protect you. So, you know, when you're a toddler and earlier, and a little while later, it's your mom and dad. And then later, you know, your teachers, the policeman, the fireman, your money, all sorts of things that we see as refuge. But in Buddhism, the three jewels are the refuge. All these other refuges that I mentioned don't last, and so they aren't true refuges. Refuge is, quote Marx, a state of mind in which of your own accord you put all your hopes into some other object to be of assistance to you. So remember that thing about the three scopes where it has to do with a person's spiritual load capacity? Mm. There are descriptions of refuge which are shared by Mahayana people with people of the lesser scope, the medium scope, and also other branches of the higher scope. So with that refuge, which is shared with practitioners of lesser scope, you first feel a personal fear that you're going to be reborn in the lower realms of misery. Secondly, then you believe that in the three jewels can protect you from suffering in that way, from having a lower rebirth. And thirdly, you hope that one or more of the three jewels will be able to protect you from these sufferings of passing into a lower rebirth. So medium scope people, what I just talked about is lesser scope people being afraid of a lower rebirth. Medium scope people or medium capacity people have a fear of all kinds of pain in the cycle of suffering life. So they believe that the jewels have the power to help, and so they put all their hope into the three jewels, that they'll get help from them. So they're not particularly afraid of being born in lower births, although, as we know, in karmic seed can pop up, and your throwing karma can put you anywhere your last 3 or maybe more lives past throw you. But because of their practice, they don't have as much fear of lower birth that the lower scope people have, but they have they're aware of all the suffering in our normal cycle of life. So the greater scope outlook about that is that your mind automatically, your mind of its own accord, puts all its hopes in one or more of the three jewels. And you believe, because all your hopes are there, that they can be of assistance to you in order to protect every living being from the pain of the cycle of suffering life. You're not just concerned about, like the medium scope, you having suffering in the cycle of life, but you are concerned about every living being suffering. There's also a thing that's called result refuge, and that's when the hope that one or more of the three jewels, as they will be achieved in you yourself, will render you assistance. In one of the what was called the Great Retreat, and I still tend to call it that because it was Geshe Michael's 3-year retreat. In one of those silent retreat teachings, he talked about us living in a cube, almost like a cube, and which was very similar to a computer screen. And over here on this side was so-and-so, and over here on that side was, and he named, you know, the Ratnakara and Amitabha and Amoghasiddhi and Vairochana, and he said, you yourself gain all those same qualities and characteristics, and the whole existence of living beings wherever they are waiting for you to save them. And so you know, you look and they're reaching out to you, and you can reach out and help them right now. And above you is your own future Buddhahood, and you can reach up there and say, come on, Buddha. If you don't keep the name Adam or Katie or Esther, but whatever, give me some help here. And you can get it. It comes to you. And we'll talk more about why that is a little later, but pretty neat that you can come to a place where you have that kind of confidence in your beliefs and a security that things are correct, that you're believing and practicing. So the three jewels are the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel. The Dharma jewel is a kind of truth or reality relating to the greater way and to the enlightened side of the four truths, and which involves either a cessation or a path. So we already covered the fact that the greater way means doing your actions for the benefit of all sentient beings instead of just for yourself. And the Dharma jewel is the most important of the three jewels because it's your understanding and the realizations in your mind and in the minds of others like Aryas, Arhat, full Buddhas. Realizations in their mind also protects you. So the direct perception of emptiness is essentially important to us. During the 20 minutes of that experience, as Geshe Michael has often said, you see the day of your enlightenment. You know that you've met a Buddha directly. You know how many future lives you will have before you yourself become a full enlightened. And once you have glimpsed emptiness, you will always be born into good conditions. So even if you have to take 7 more lifetimes to finish off omniscience, and then all of them will be conducive to you meeting the Dharma teachings and having the all the necessities of life that allow you to have time to give your attention to the Dharma when you meet it. And that's because even just a really well-grounded intellectual understanding of emptiness creates a lot of good karmic seeds for you. But the direct perception of emptiness, it covers you with good karmic seeds, and that propels you into good conditions all the way through to full Buddhahood. So you gain cessation with the direct perception of emptiness in the form of permanently losing any doubt about the principles of Buddhism. You're able to perceive that perception is correct, and from that on. Can you hear that?
It kind of cut out there for a second.
There's an
feedback. We're hearing ourselves.
Here, I'm gonna.
Ooh, you on mute now?
So, here. One thing you may try doing is turning down the volume on your speakers.
the volume we have.
All right, we've turned it down.
Hear us?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Direct
All right.
perception of your voice.
So with you lose all doubt, and then still get
We're still might help. We're just hearing it from your computer, I think is what happened. Same as last week. I'll turn this back up. All right, can you hear us okay? Just wave if you
Yeah,
can't.
she gave us a thumbs up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So no doubt anymore about the principles of Buddhism, and you know that that's correct, that you shouldn't have any doubt about the principles of Buddhism, and you put all your effort into saving others. So an example of a path would be reaching true renunciation, which is known as the path of accumulation, actually. So don't get confused, you guys, with the interchange of the 3 principal paths and the 5 spiritual developmental paths, because for both of them, number 1 is renunciation. Let's talk about those 5 paths a minute. First is the path of accumulation, and that amounts to you restructure your whole life, all your activities, which such that everything you're doing cultivates virtue, and you gain renunciation. You actually, what happens is, because of your work and study and effort towards the scriptures and serving, if you're really, really lucky, the highest karmic object that's possible on this planet, then what happens is you lose your taste for normal worldly life. And you get bodhicitta. So you know you've reached true renunciation when you, I guess, always, unceasingly are thinking about ending suffering. And it could be that you first become disturbed over some other living being suffering. And that happens a lot of times, I think. It may even start with people not liking the way others are treating those poor horses or their dog or something. But then eventually you realize you're in really deep shit too. So, and you get renunciation for what's going on in this realm. On the path of preparation, which is path 2, through listening, you reach you reach an intellectual understanding of emptiness that you listen to teachings, you study all the time, contemplate, meditate, and your intellectual understanding of emptiness in the path of preparation. There are 4 levels of that, and I have them written down somewhere, but not right here. But you keep going higher and higher in that path of preparation. Higher and higher means a more and more valid and deep understanding of emptiness until whammo, you have the direct perception of emptiness. The top of this preparation path, I think, is called the high. Do you know it, Adam? The highest point, or some?
Chuchok. It's the highest dharma.
Yeah, highest, and the highest understanding before you become a different kind of being by having the direct perception of emptiness. So the third path, of course, is seeing, and that's the direct perception of emptiness. So as soon as that being enveloped in just pure raw emptiness, as I like to hear Geshe Michael say, as you start floating down from that, you're when you get down, you're on path 4. But on your way down, and I just probably all of us have at some point in meditation, when we're going to stop the meditation, it feels like we come down. It's this psychological something that you were up somewhere higher than our normal activity. So during coming down, of course, from the direct perception of emptiness, you have correct and deep realizations about the 4 truths with all of their permeations. So, and once you're down, I read in one spot that the path of seeing lasts until you go to sleep, because you can read minds and you're just in a altered state of consciousness until you've gone to sleep and slept for a few hours. But then but most things say as soon as you come down from the direct perception of emptiness, you're on the path of habituation. So you're using your direct perception of emptiness to permanently remove your other 81,997 mental afflictions, because you only lose 3 of them when at the direct perception. So you're spending the path of habituation, getting used to and reconditioning your life. You all 3 know what the 3 mental afflictions that you lose are, don't you? At the direct perception, you no longer have any doubt at all about Buddhist teachings being true and work, and that they work. The second is you lose your intellectual belief in self-existing things. And the third is you will no longer ever engage in asceticisms.
What does asceticism mean?
Self-flagellation, okay. Starving yourself, stuff like that. So then path number 5 is the path of no more learning. It's either nirvana or enlightenment, depending on your level of practice. So Hinayana practitioners who, of course, do not have bodhicitta just reach nirvana. But Mahayana practitioners reach full enlightenment, which means, of course, omniscience, full Buddhahood. So now we're on to the Sangha jewel. And of course, anyone who has seen emptiness directly is the Sangha jewel. So we all should seek protection in someone who has seen emptiness directly, if that's at all possible. And it isn't always obvious, it hasn't been kosher for people to say they've had the direct perception of emptiness. In olden days, when Lord Buddha lived, and even after, I guess, there were enough Aryas around that they could recognize without someone saying, I've had the direct perception of emptiness. But then slowly, I think there have been less and less Aryas or Buddhas, I guess. I'm just blabbering here, you guys. It's not in my notes.
Your favorite website is coming to TVGN with a brand new show. Pop Sugar Now, the hottest celebrity news, entertainment, percentile, oh my God, fashion, the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and red carpet events. We are here at the Catching Fire premiere. Oh, don't forget your awards. Plus exclusive coverage on.
And we'll turn the microphone on as soon as it looks like we've figured it out. Let's see. No, I want to unmute them. Why do I unmute them?
Put the microphone on top.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. So we're back.
Okay.
Okay, so the point is, if you get a clue that someone's had the direct perception of emptiness, they're your protection if you can make the connection with them. It's required really great effort and training and meditation on their part to get there. So when you see it directly, you'll be the someone people pray to. Did you have an addition, Adam, to my comment?
Oh, I just I thought it was kind of cool how well I kind of realized that to perceive. So you mentioned if you get the inkling that somebody in your existence is an Arya, and then my mind went to, well, that kind of it shines a light on the fact that to see an Arya in your world is dependent on your own virtue, and that their existence as an Arya is totally empty in itself. And so by that means, if you had enough virtue, you could be seeing Aryas all around you. It just, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you're right. The Buddha jewel then sees that all exists. The Buddha jewel sees that everything that exists, deceptive reality, forever, past, present, and future deceptive reality, and they also see the emptiness of everything there is, ever has been. So they see it as it appears deceptively, and they see the emptiness of everything all at the same time. So unless you're a Buddha, you can't perceive emptiness itself, as Geshe Michael has called it at times, raw emptiness, and deceptive reality at the same moment. And as we know, Buddhas are not omnipotent, but they are omniscient. And their primary way of helping us is through teaching. So the common jewel of the three jewels is emptiness, which is the protection. Emptiness is the protection. So you yourself are supplying the reality, because things have no inherent reality of their own. So in bad situations, you still have to have love and compassion. What happens in your world, in the world you're aware of, and what happens to you is a product of your own karmic seeds popping open. So take refuge in and maintain an understanding of emptiness. Don't forget about it. Oh. Actually, when someone's in your face or everything is obstructing, if you can manage 5 seconds to say to yourself, I believe in emptiness, this is coming from me. If we can get over ever thinking this is someone else's fault, then that's good. That's really, really good. It isn't somebody else's fault. So we need to review the 2 different ways of describing bodhicitta. in Course 2, Class 3, we had to learn the detailed definition of the Greater Way's wish for enlightenment. It was a mile long. Oh, well, for this course, since everything's abbreviated, you need to remember the shorter definition of the Greater Way's wish, and this is it. The wish to achieve total enlightenment for the sake of others. So the first way of dividing the wish into two types is the wish in the form of intention. It's called the prayer state of mind, munsim. And so this is the wish in the form of thinking like a bodhisattva, and it's this thought to become totally enlightened so that you can actually be of help to every living being. And the second way is the wish through action. So after you've learned how to think, try to think always of helping others, then you begin actually doing that kind of work, helping others, taking action like a bodhisattva. And at that point, you're doing bodhisattva activities with the motivation to become a full Buddha, so that you actually can help other living beings. The second way of dividing the wish into two types is, first off, it's called deceptive bodhicitta, and that's the wish in its deceptive form. And this wish, as it's normally spoken of, it's deceptive only in being focused usually towards objects in the world that are existing for you as deceptive reality. Meaning it's the way the average person sees their world. So an average person and someone who hasn't truly, I don't even know how to say it, even if you're acting and doing your darndest to think like a bodhisattva, things are still looking as if they're coming at you. You may or may not believe it, but deceptive bodhicitta is seeing that person in their face as coming at them. Even though they can take 5 seconds and say, I don't believe it. I made this myself, but they still look the same to you as it did before you knew darn sure that they are coming from you. They still appear as in deceptive reality. I keep repeating that.
I mean, I think you could say that that's what Mikmei means, right? Like that would, the opposite of that, like, would be to like see them, but like the love or the bodhicitta that you have for seeing something that you don't see, that you don't see them as self-existent.
But you know, for an Arya, until they get I don't know for sure, at least through the 7th level, Bhumi, things are still appearing. They still see, they can't see raw emptiness and deceptive reality at the same time. Full Buddhas don't lose their ability to see deceptive reality, but they see it as it really is. So, to a normal person who is trying to become a truly valid bodhisattva, they, even while they're trying to help the normal living beings around them, the normal people around them, and they themselves have that wish to save all these other normal beings, they still are seeing the person or the object or the whatever as a deceptive reality entity. So the object deceives even while you're trying to help it, and help them, not it, until you get to where you lose those very last subtle obscurations to omniscience. Don't they? Have you learned different already, Adam? No?
No, that makes total sense. That those are the last seeds that you lose on the 10th Bhumi. Like they say it's the uninterrupted path, and those are the last ones you see. The very subtle seeds that are causing you to misperceive whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was really that interested me because I wanted to find out like the moment, like when you kind of flop over from a 10th level bodhisattva to a Buddha, like some reason I just can't picture it or comprehend it. So.
Well, eventually you'll get into the Tantra courses if I ever get your final from course whatever we just did before. Where are your homeworks and finals? Every day I think they're going to be in the mailbox.
I will get them out to you.
If you guys want to scan them and send them to me, I can print them if that's easy.
That would be. I have them all electronically, so that would be.
Send them to me and I'll print them out.
Okay.
We've had them finished for a little while now. Sorry.
All right. Just one more thing. We have to finish the second of the second way of describing the wish, the divisions. So division number 2 of the second way is called absolute bodhicitta. So it's the wish in its ultimate form. So if you go back to the paths with the 3 principal paths, bodhicitta is number 2. But in the 5 paths of spiritual development, it's actually path 3. Path 3. That's the path of seeing is what makes you an actual bodhisattva. Although, when you're doing your darndest to think and behave as a bodhisattva. Geshe Michael says you're a bodhisattva. But the definitive mark in the scriptures of when you become a bodhisattva is when you have the direct perception of emptiness.
I have a question about that. I thought actually to become a bodhisattva you had to gain true bodhicitta, but you could gain bodhicitta before you get the direct perception of emptiness. You're saying that until you've had the direct perception of emptiness, you can have legitimate realization of bodhicitta and not become a bodhisattva. So a bodhisattva has to be an Arya, but you can also be an Arya without bodhicitta. So there's an Arya. So you're saying a bodhisattva has to have had both of those two, not just one. Okay.
I don't know if Hinayana and people, are they called Aryas since I mean they're going to reach nirvana, but they're not going to reach, they don't have bodhicitta. So what is a lower path person, a Hinayana practitioner, called once they see emptiness directly? Because they become an arhat in the end, but that's the term used. Are they called arhat between the direct perception of emptiness and nirvana? Or
I saw a distinction actually. I was reading the Tibetan a little while ago. They distinguish between they're called Aryas, but and a lot of the times in the Mahayana scripture, it's just assumed that you're talking about an Arya, a Mahayana Arya, but in some of the scriptures they talk about Jetop Jangsen Pakpa, which is a bodhisattva who has had the direct perception of emptiness.
Yeah. So, but what Esther is saying is that before we can get bodhicitta before we become an Arya.
It's sugarcane. It's sugarcane bodhicitta.
Yeah, you're right. It's sugarcane.
I don't think it is.
No, that's what distinguishes a true bodhisattva. Like when you enter the first bhumi is after you've had the direct perception of emptiness imbued with bodhicitta.
But Geshe said that you can get true bodhicitta before having direct perception of emptiness, even though it's very unusual.
Yeah,
the description of bodhicitta is direct perception of emptiness.
Right.
The ultimate form.
And it doesn't have to be, when you get to a certain level with your intellectual understanding of emptiness, but you're not a bodhisattva. You're not really a bodhi. You don't meet the definition of a true bodhisattva.
So you can't actually gain bodhicitta before having had the direct perception of emptiness.
I think that's they say that
experience blows you out of the water. Until you have that experience, it doesn't matter how compassionate and caring and loving and I want to save you are. You haven't stepped over the line that forever makes you a different type of being. But you do have, it has to be called, I guess, sugarcane. I think one of the things I really admire about Geshe Michael is how encouraging he is to all of us. And he's not lying to us when he says you can get bodhicitta and you can get you almost get some kind of whiff of what it's going to be like after you've seen the direct perception of emptiness. but until you actually are immersed in emptiness only, and then have those realizations as you come down. Is that right? He's doing so much scripture now, but all right, let me get done with this last one, absolute bodhicitta. And it's the wish in its ultimate form, and it's just a code word for the direct perception of emptiness. So, on the 5 paths of spiritual development, on path 3, every living being sees the direct perception of emptiness, even though on path 1, the path of accumulation, it's mentioned cultivating virtue, renunciation, and bodhicitta. So all the while, from the get-go, we're striving to become a bodhisattva. And that habituation takes you through a whole lot of stuff, all the way from the whammo up to full Buddhahood. It's pretty neat. Just get there. Do it. Okay, somebody's got to close us out here. You want to do it, Esther?
Sure. Sashi Buki Jimshi Metokram Riraling Shi Yinde Genpadi Sange Shindu Te Yurwadi Jokumanda Shimwa Chivarshe Yam Guru Ananda Kametayam Gewadi Gewoga Sunam Yeshe Sasokshin Sunam Yeshe Lejum Damhar Hudi Duparshin.
Are you at Brady's place?
We're at Kate's place right now. We're in Silverton.
Oh, are you? You both. It looks like you're both exhausted. Are you?
I don't know what's going on with my eyes.
I've been working for maybe. I started at 7 a.m. So I'm super sleepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm switching my schedule, so on Thursday I won't have that schedule, so I'll be more perky.
Oh, good. Yeah.
For class, because it just takes it out of me getting up that early.
How long are you home for, Adam?
Until Geshe Michael flies back. Yeah.
He's not gone too long this time. But
No, it's not. It's another week or so. Yeah.
You guys should come over here or something, or we should meet halfway.
yeah, that would be fun.
We should, when it's not raining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't get above 80 degrees here usually.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Please stay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll let you do it.
All right, I'll hang up. Bye.
Bye.